Hey everybody, my name is Jason Fink. I am President and CEO of the Williamsport Lycoming Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you all for coming out today on this important issue that we're going to be talking about, being able to highlight the uses of the impact tax that Lycoming County and those within the region have been able to experience some great investment, being able to utilize the monies from this tax to be able to enhance the infrastructure in our communities, the quality of life, and just want to highlight some of the things that we've been able to see before turning this over to Senator Yaw. You look around Lycoming County and you see, the investment that was made by private sector. You look at the downtown Williamsport and some of the other communities here, we've seen growth, but other things that we've been able to experience that have been a derivative of the impact tax. You look at the airport, the monies that were put in that new airport terminal, that came from the impact tax. You look at the Riverwalk, that was an investment there. You also look at some of the water and sewer projects that were done here within the region. Those were from the impact tax. The other thing that is important to us right now that's being advanced is the Williamsport, South Williamsport, Loyalsock Township, Old Lycoming Township, the levy situation that we're dealing with here in Lycoming County, and in particular in the greater Williamsport area. Those are where some of the funds that are being utilized to be able to take care and tackle some of these infrastructure issues. That's what this impact tax is being utilized for, very wisely by our local officials, and we greatly appreciate their investment. With that, I'd like to take and turn this over now to Senator Yaw, who's going to be able to talk to you a little bit more from the state side of it and how these funds are being able to be utilized. So Senator Yaw.
Thank you, Jason. I'd just like to tell everybody it's a pleasure to be here and to participate in this. Once in a while the state legislature does something and we actually get it right. I know that that's probably hard for a lot of people to believe, but I think that the impact fee is really a shining example of what we thought about, how we put it together, and it's right. And yes, unfortunately, we did in the bill, it's called a fee and not a tax, but we'll live with it the way it is. I'd just like to digress, I guess, a little bit and say something about that we hear all the time, and that is that Pennsylvania is the only state that does not have a severance tax. It's the only gas producing state that doesn't have a severance tax. I'd just like to make 2 points on that. Most of the people who say that are what I would describe as bobbleheads, who probably don't have a clue about the difference between a severance tax and what the impact fee is, and how it might differ, or what differences it makes, and or even what money is generated from each. The other people say it just for political purposes because they've made a promise to the bobbleheads that they're going to nail this severance tax pelt on a wall. And so that's really it, because I talk to people a lot of times, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. It's just, we need a severance tax because everybody else has one. What I also say is that, if you look at it, Pennsylvania is the only state that has an impact fee. We're the only state that figured out how to actually get the money where the impact is. So I think that that's a real plus for us. The impact fee benefits rural Pennsylvania, and if you know anything about the way Pennsylvania is organized, 73% of the population in Pennsylvania lives in 19 counties. Now, if you know how many counties we have, that means that 27% of the population lives in the other 48 counties. And guess where we are? We're in that 48 counties that have 27% of the population. But what we fight with all the time are, where are the votes? Well, the votes, unfortunately, are in the 73% that live in the 19 counties. But where's the gas? And who should benefit from it? I think rural Pennsylvania should benefit, because that's where, fortunately, that's where the gas is. And who has benefited from this impact fee or impact tax? We have. There's just no question about it. I was looking at reading some of the things that we have done in my district with this money that's been generated by the impact fee, and sometimes it's just too difficult to get your arms around it. We don't have enough time to talk about it. I find some examples though. The impact fee funds that have been generated by the state. Now remember, this is basically a 60-40 split. Of the impact fee, 60% of it comes back to the county and local municipalities. The other 40% goes to fund government programs. I think DEP gets, I believe it's $6 million a year. The state fire commissioner gets money out of it. All other kind of programs are gone. So actually local people have what I would refer to as a second bite at the apple as a result of this. The total funds that have been distributed locally, when I say local, I mean county and local municipal entities, those funds total about $1.4 billion. Just think about that, $1.4 billion. Of that, the counties in my district have received about $112 million, the counties. The municipalities have received another $180 million. That's $292 million that's come into my district out of this money. Now, even I know I'm getting jaded by being in Harrisburg, but $292 million is significant money. That's about 20% of all the impact fee money that's come into my district. And that is, to me, that's pretty impressive. Some specific examples, Jason mentioned some of them, about the uses. I know in Bradford County, the fees that they got alone since 2012, and it was Valentine's Day in 2012 when Governor Corbett signed the impact fee bill. Bradford County has gotten $117 million, Lycoming County $72 million, Sullivan County $9 million, Susquehanna County $93 million. Those are serious numbers. The city of Williamsport here alone has gotten approximately $4 million out of the impact fee or impact tax. Under the law, there are 13 uses specified. Bradford County has used it for broadband, Lycoming County, the airport, you've already heard that mentioned, YMCA, water line and sewer line, river walk, housing projects, all things that mean a lot to us locally. And I guess what I look at it as a legislator, does anybody here reasonably believe that I or any other rural legislator could have pried almost $300 million out of the general fund for distribution to my 5 counties? Actually, I only have 4 counties that get Shale money, or well, they all do, but minimal amounts. Yeah, of that, in the 6 years that law has really been in operation, I'm not counting this year because the distributions have not been made, I don't think yet, but $300 million over 6 years, that's $50 million a year that's come into my district. Now, if I went to the general fund, I would get laughed at. You want $50 million every year. What I look at when I look at Act 13, which is the underlying law, it's probably the most important piece of legislation for rural Pennsylvania in my lifetime. I don't think there's any question about that. And when I go back historically and look at what else happened in Pennsylvania that was even comparable to Act 13, the only thing I could come up with was what Governor Pinchot did in 1931. And I know that probably all the gas companies know about Pinchot, whether they want to or not. Because what Pinchot did as a governor, after he, after he took office was he said, I'm gonna get all the farmers out of the mud. So I'm gonna pave all the roads in Pennsylvania, all the dirt roads. Well, what he did is he paved every turkey trail and every deer path that we had. And when I say the gas companies all know about those roads, because the first time they ran a truck on them, the pavement rolled right up on the wheels and we had a horrible experience. But seriously, that is the most significant other event other than the Act 13 money, which comes back locally, that I can think of that's affected rural Pennsylvania in a positive way. It has been outstanding. The uses to which the local and county officials have put the money to have been, it will impact us for hundreds of years. And I think that they're all to be congratulated. And this is, it's one of those things, as I said, I'm very serious about that. It's the most important piece of legislation affecting rural Pennsylvania that I've seen in my lifetime, and perhaps any of us will see. So with that, thank you. It's been a pleasure to participate.
I want to thank the senator not only for his comments, but also for the tireless work that he's put in. He cited this being one of the biggest things that have actually the biggest thing that he was able to bring back to this community, and it's true. It's not only impacting Lycoming County. You look at the district that he represents, it is truly rural. And we are very appreciative of the work that he does to be able to bring back any of the funds that he's able to bring back, because he is competing against a much larger vote base than what we're able to bring here. And so from that aspect of it, the tireless work that he does bring is significant, and being able to have the impact tax to be able to utilize those funds to be able to bring on the projects that we're going to be able to bring for future years, for future generations, is going to be important. And it's going to be a legacy project and legacy legislation that he should be proud of being able to bring back to our community. So with that, I want to move forward now to be able to ask Representative Representative Whelan to be able to come up to be able to speak and share some words about his view on this impact tax.
Thank you, Jason. And the disadvantage of following a senator is he covers all my notes. So, but I do want to commend whoever made the sign in front of the podium. Take notice. It is an impact tax. Although, as the senator pointed out, in the legislation it's called a fee, but that quite honestly is semantics. It is a tax. And what the governor is proposing is putting another tax on top of the impact tax. I urge caution. We all know that these companies can move. There's other states that have gas. We are already taxing them, I believe, more than many other states, even combined states. The tax that we're charging, the impact tax along with the corporate tax that they pay, we certainly are getting our fair share. Now, back to Senator Yaw, he had mentioned his district. I wanted to bring home the fact that the latest numbers that I captured here, Williamsport in 2017 got $495,000. I checked out all the townships and the boroughs in the 83rd district that I represent. The total for 2017 was $1,096,335. And as it was said, for me as a legislator to go to the general fund and ask for that kind of money for our municipalities, it's not gonna happen. We are so blessed that we have natural gas under our feet, and we are blessed that we have these very, very good corporate neighbors that are coming in and extracting that gas and paying their fair share. I certainly appreciate it, and on behalf of all the residents of the 83rd, it's really been a blessing. As far as the environment, I happen to be a hunter. I can give a lot of accolades to the industry, what they've done to our forest with planting, proper vegetation, reseeding for the gathering lines. It's just been incredible for the wildlife here in Lycoming County. And finally, I just wanted to mention that for those, I see a lot of friends in the audience, but I was a county commissioner in my previous life, and I was very fortunate that Governor Corbett appointed me to the Marcellus Shale Commission. And I lost a summer of my life because I was in Harrisburg almost every day. And I'm just very proud of the product that we produced and presented to the legislature and ultimately the governor signed. So we're blessed here, and we should never, ever take it for granted, and we should never overtax, whether it's the gas industry or any industry. There's a cause and effect when you tax corporate America, and we're in good shape right now. Let's keep it that way. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Representative Wheeland. He made a point about the taxation that industry in general experiences here in Pennsylvania, and looking at adding a severance tax would just increase the burden. There's been some discussion about, well, why not just do comprehensive tax reform and look at adding the severance tax, do away with the impact tax. I'll be honest with you, I'd rather not see that. That makes it much more of a challenge to be able to get the monies back to the communities where this is being extracted. The impact tax is the right way to go about this here in Pennsylvania, and I think it's something that if they want to look at comprehensive tax reform, that's great to be able to do it, but let's leave the impact tax and let's not talk about the severance tax. With that, I'd like to ask Representative Garth Everett to come forward to share some comments with regards to the impact tax and the uses in his district.
Thank you, Jason. And as Representative Wheeland mentioned, it's great to come up third in the batting order. A lot of the hard work's been done. The 84th district that I represent, the 83rd that Jeff represents is actually easier to describe, then I can just say all the rest. The 83rd is the greater Williamsport area, and those municipalities that are benefiting from the impact tax don't even have any wells being drilled. I have the great good fortune of representing the rural part of Lycoming County, where there's 806 or so, as of the last count, producing wells in that part of Lycoming County. And Lycoming County's number 5 on the list of the well count in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So that means that we have benefited greatly. And the municipalities, the county gets money, but the municipalities that have wells also get money based on the number of wells that they have in each municipality. And you'll hear from Howard Fry here in a few minutes, who is the supervisor in Cogan House Township, which has quite a few wells. And he can tell you firsthand what it's done for his particular township. But I can tell you across the board, townships have been able to support their fire companies, their EMS, take care of roads, and take care of a myriad of issues that are in the list of the things, 13 things in the Act 13 menu. And those are things that they would not have been able to do. And they've been able to help with schools and a lot of things. So has been an unbelievable opportunity for our area, as has been stated. And I can just say that the Restore program may sound interesting, but I think that money has been promised about 20-fold over what would come in from a severance tax. And it has been mentioned, our impact tax in Pennsylvania takes in more money than does the severance tax in the combined states of Colorado, West Virginia, Ohio, and there's one other state that I can't pull off the top of my head, and Arkansas put together. Thank you, Dave. And so it is. We are already taxing the industry. And the good part about taxing the industry is the money's going to the right places. So I just want to commend, and it was, I was the best. I certainly don't like ever voting for tax increases, but this is one tax increase that was, because it was original, there was no tax before. The impact tax is the best tax vote I ever made, and would happily make it again. And think that, as has been said, that it's the best thing that's happened to rural Pennsylvania and to Pennsylvania as a whole, because it's shared across the state. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Everett. You look at his district in particular, it is very rural in terms of what the communities he represents. And from that aspect of it, the monies have been very, very important for them to be able to make the infrastructure investments that they've made and the other uses that they've been able to derive from this tax. It's one of the things that we've been very pleased to be able to see how the rural part of the county has been able to benefit from this, and we are appreciative of the fact that this is going to be directly going to them to be able to utilize the way that those townships need to be able to see those funds, and those boroughs need to see those funds invested. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner McKernan, the chairman of the Board of Commissioners here in Lycoming County, to come forward to be able to talk a little bit more on how they see those funds used and how the county uses the funds to be able to make the projects that are important to them advance. So with that, Commissioner McKernan.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Dave. And also want to thank representatives and the senator for their good work in making sure that the impact fees come to the county, because we're the ones that are charged with the responsibility of investing and using the money wisely. When you look at Lycoming County, last year I think we received about $3.7 million as a county. But when you throw in all the municipalities in Lycoming County, it's over $10 million. And the great thing about the impact fee is that when the law was written, it gives the commissioners the ability or flexibility to use the money in areas where we feel it can be best be used. And I think that that is what we've done over the last number of years. Some of the areas that we have invested the money is the airport. We've also done with the money with the senior centers. We've got one that we had put money into, another one that's in the process of being designed and built. The legacy money that comes as part of the impact fees helps greatly on recreational side. One of the things that was mentioned earlier that you don't hear a whole lot about, though, is that when the state takes out their piece of the money and puts it aside, it makes that available to counties. And Lycoming County has gone back to the state through the fair funds, and we've been able to get money to invest in senior housing, which has helped to put affordable housing in our county. Also, I think through DEP, there's money available that we're hoping to be able to tap with the other municipalities to help us with our levy project. So there is money out there that the county has available. Also, yeah, the county operations, there is enough flexibility that we can spend it within our county budget on areas that are designated that helps save the taxpayer. The money that we get is equivalent to almost 2/3 of a mill. So that's a lot of serious money. And I want to give kudos to Commissioner Marcellus for the work that he's done over the years. In fact, I think he was in the process when the impact fees first came available, and he's been a guiding force in helping to get the money spent properly for the county. But we wholeheartedly believe in the impact fee and the good that it's done here in Lycoming County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKernan, and also thank you, Commissioner Massar, for being able to be here today to talk about how the funds are being used at the county level. One of the things that we looked at in particular with the levy project, the Chamber was looking at who the partners were and the amount of money that was being invested. And one of the reasons why we felt comfortable in putting $500,000 of our own resources into that project was because of the county's commitment to being able to see that it was important enough that they put impact fee money into that project. And it was one of the things that we felt was important to be able to put some of the private sector monies that we had there at the table as well. At this time, I'd like to ask Supervisor, Cogan House Supervisor Howard Fry to come forward to be able to talk about really how the grassroots funds are being used at the township level and what they're seeing with those funds. So, Howard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to thank the representatives in Harrisburg for the gift that they have created for our townships. I am from Cogan House Township. Most of you never heard of it. 20 miles north of here, 955 people, and a little township that has now 60 plus wells in my township. Think about it. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little quick story. When they first came here and asked to bond the roads, here's 3 supervisors. All we had to worry about was keeping the roads open and plowed. We didn't know what we were up against. The only problem Texas did was they didn't send an owner's manual on how to do it. We were clueless. They rolled in here, we're gonna use your road for a week. 3rd day, it's a foot deep. They're hooked to it with a dozer pulling the trucks through. I said, I think we have problems. Well, needless to say, we finally got with, met with the gas people. We will fix your roads. They have went beyond and above of what to do to take care of 110,000-pound trucks running over them constantly, daylight to dark, weekends. There's no such thing as a holiday for the gas guys. I think that's when they gear up mostly. Every holiday you see trucks. This weekend was no exception. Every 5 minutes, there was a water truck going down our road. That's amazing. I will tell you, without the impact fee, our roads in our township were simply pie crust. And that is just tar and chip over the base of the road to hold the dust down. Well, 2 trips of that with a truck, it's gone. They rebuilt our roads, and I'll tell you, it was not easy. It was a struggle. There was some general displeasure about a lot of things, but finally, it has come to fruition for our township. If I told you what they have spent on my township roads, you would be astounded. In addition to that, the impact fee allowed our township, I testified a couple years ago with Chairman Senator Yaw in Harrisburg about the impact fee. Believe it or not, we were able to build a cinder shed. Think about it, a lowly cinder shed. Our cinders were froze, you had to dig them. In the middle of 2 o'clock in the morning, the wind's blowing at 0 degrees. You're out there with your bar and your sledgehammer breaking lumps out of your truck. That's no fun. We put a shed up finally. Because of the impact fee, we were able to come out of the early years. We had no budget to speak of. By the way, we stay on budget. State. The deal is, we budgeted money to update our buildings, update our equipment. Do you know what it's like to work with 25-year-old trucks? Work on them the day before the storm and hope you get through the storm to work on them again. That's just reality. We did not understand anything different. With the impact fee coming, we were able to update our buildings, put in a playground. There was no playground for like 20-mile radius for the locals or anyone else. We spent the money for a nice playground. There's people there every day, and we have a quarter-mile walk area. It's all because of the impact fee. And I certainly hope that Harrisburg takes a look at what the gas companies do that they're not required to do, like help build buildings, build roads, purchase machinery for townships or boroughs. They need to take a look at those kinds of dollars that are being spent, because it's so important, more than that severance tax will ever garner. And all I can say is, my hat is off to the gentleman in the gas industry. They are working on our projects now. Our roads are bonded, of course. They have taken wonderful care of our roads. Last year alone, it was $500,000 spent just in keeping our roads that they repaired in repair due to the heavy truck traffic. Think about that. Do you think many townships around here can garner $500,000 just for road repair? No. That doesn't happen. And so with that being said, our roads are, I have probably 80% of my roads now paved, and they're willing to do some more work because they're working in a certain area. I cannot thank the impact fee for what it was able to do for our township and put money in the bank that we're able to pay our bills on time, and we stay with the budget. And I can't thank them enough, and I hope it continues for a good long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard. And, a couple of points that he made with regards to the industry. You look at what the industry has done beyond just the impact tax, what they're engaged with. There are a number of different organizations here within Lycoming County. Our organization is one of the beneficiaries of what they invest in, but you look at a number of other ones that are out there. They get involved with outdoor projects. They get involved with a number of projects in various communities in Lycoming County, and it is the hat's off to them because of the fact that that's not something that they're required to do. They are a partner within a number of things in our community, and we greatly appreciate the investment that they make above and beyond just the impact tax. The other thing is, you look at the outdoor recreation side of it. You talk about the roads that they've done, that they've been able to invest in. Those same roads are in areas where you couldn't get to before for those who enjoy the outdoors. And from that aspect of it, you look at it, Lycoming County's in the Pennsylvania wilds. And it's one of the things that we look at from the perspective of being able to market from the tourism side of it. You look at those roads now that they're able to use, the visitors who are coming to Lycoming County, they're able to access a lot of their recreational amenities that they weren't able to before because of the fact that the industry has invested in this infrastructure. And so from that aspect of it, it's another thing that we look at the industry being able to enhance the quality of life that we've been able to experience here. With that, want to be able to take and introduce Dave Spiegelmeyer, who is the president of the Marcellus Shale Coalition. MSC is a very important partner with us in this event here today, but they've also been an important partner in being able to advocate on behalf of the industry, to be that voice and making sure that the state takes care of this industry. It doesn't take and chase it away. And from that aspect of it, I want to give Dave an opportunity to get up here and talk about what the things are being done to be able to advance, understanding the importance of the impact tax. Dave?
Jason, thank you. Jason, thanks very much for the opportunity. I want to, we often head into Harrisburg and ask our state lawmakers to fix certain ills of the Commonwealth. I want to turn around and thank our lawmakers for getting the impact tax right for Pennsylvania. $1.7 billion has been invested with a record collection this year of $247 million that will be spread broadly all over 67 counties of the Commonwealth. I think Senator Yaw mentioned it clearly that almost $72 million has been collected here in Lycoming County, almost $400 million collected over the 10-county region. And most importantly, I wanna thank the members of the coalition here today that are active in this region that have helped pay those impact tax collection companies like Alta, Seneca Resources, Chief, Southwestern, PGE, Range, Cabot, Chesapeake, and others that have been active in this play in this region. I also want to thank Lycoming County for being a partner in a world-class natural gas supply. Many folks don't realize just a short 10 years ago, we struggled to make up a quarter of Pennsylvania's supply of natural gas, where today we're pushing close to a quarter of America's natural gas supply, a record natural gas supply coming from this region. So what does this mean for the community? It's not only the impact tax collections of $1.7 billion that have been spread across our region, but we now have natural gas rates. The purchased natural gas rates of in-state utilities are anywhere from 57 to 78% less, depending on which utility you have, than they were 10 years ago. Our wholesale power generation rates now are 41% less than what they were 10 years ago. Our air's cleaner as a result. We're now generating about a third of our electricity today with natural gas. Many of those facilities built in the shadow of Lycoming County and in the town of Williamsport. It's been transformational. About $13 billion of investment has occurred here in the Commonwealth, and it's been extraordinary not only for our region but for our country. I think a number of folks mentioned the Texas connection. I would share with you today that I look across our board table, and that's about where 98% of the gas produced in Pennsylvania comes from. It's primarily Pennsylvanians. We like to hike and bike and hunt and fish and camp and do all the things that you folks like to do. We want to make sure it gets done correctly. Part of Act 13 was heightening the environmental bar. Yeah, we asked for local uniformity. That was shot down by the courts, primarily because we have a lot of communities, small communities, that did not have the technical expertise. We wanted to make sure we had a high bar for development here in the Commonwealth. The second piece was the heightened regulation across the state. While many of those provisions were shot down in the courts, our operators have accepted those provisions as part of our permit conditions. Things like setbacks from streams and from water wells. Things like pre-drill testing of water wells before drilling ever takes place. Protections for the landowner, protections for the company, protections for the community to make sure it gets done right. And I would also just echo a few of the comments made. Operators in this state have paid billions of dollars in royalty proceeds, have paid billions of dollars to prepare and repair roads from our use and to improve highway infrastructure broadly across the Commonwealth. I'm proud to be a part of it. I think you should be proud to be a part. Lycoming County should be proud to be an extraordinary part of this development. And I think it's we're very much in the first inning of a 9-inning game that will be transformational for our country. I think we all know that just 10 years ago, we were more than 62% dependent on foreign sources of energy. I would tell you within the next year, we'll likely be full energy independent as a nation because of what's happened in the shale fields of America. I think that's something to be proud of and something to rejoice.